off. So, rainmaking activity, the presentation, and we are basically, our job is to give people an option of reducing their core expenditure, or ways of making some extra money that will benefit the family and boost the family budget. And whatever people do after seeing this is totally out of our control. So once we've shown the presentation, we have 100% success. And what you will also find is that you will start to see a ratio appearing. Now, I've been keeping a ratio I looked over the last 20 presentations to bring in 4 people. So, you know, that's sort of 1 in 5. And that's just the way it is. You know, in these times of a period of anxiety, people are, they're not always in a good place. You know, not everyone is going to jump to make a decision straight away. And so 1 in 5. And what I would always say is, once the presentation is out there, okay, that's not the end of it, because you've shown them once, you give them 1 exposure, and the idea then is that you may need to follow up with that. So always be prepared. Just because you get a no, just because you get something that's sort of not the same as a no, doesn't mean that this is going to be the end of it. And if you think about this, how many of you joined the first time you saw the presentation? And some of you may have seen it twice, and then you might have been invited to an op, and then you might have been invited to an event and then decided to join. And some of you are very, very successful. So bear in mind, this is a process. Now, I'm delighted today to say that we've got two guests on the call who are going to help me with this. And the idea is that they're going to take you to specific parts of the presentation. I just want to remind you all, if I can just share this again, I just want to remind you all where we are in this, because next week we have our final session. So if I just play that up there again. So we've looked at building your database. Okay, and we've gone through how different ways of building the database and adding to the database. Then we've looked at making connections with people, the different ways we can connect, and how we can then get this presentation in front of people. So today we're going to focus on sharing options. And then next week, we were going to be looking at ways of what we do when people actually come on board and how we can get them started quickly. So I am delighted to say, kicking off is someone that is approaching SGL, zooming into SGL at the moment, and he is an IT. He is IT, but then again, I don't think that you need to be you need to be an IT person to be able to do this effectively. So, Shoran, are you unmuted there, sir?
I am indeed, Derek.
Brilliant. I just want to, let's just see if we can get your face up on the screen a second, because, Shoran, just give us yourself a quick introduction.
Yeah, I live in Runcorn, between Warrington and Chester. Background in IT training, those who can do, those who can't teach, of course. And I've been doing the business for about 13 years, very part-time, and really enjoying the business and the changes that we've had over the last few months.
Fantastic. So, what we'd like from you, Sean, is the different ways that we can sort of get this presentation in front of people. So I'm going to just get back into this screen sharing mode here a second, and we've got a few things to share on the screen with you there. So let me just click on here. So just take us through, Shoran, this process.
Absolutely. So morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. The first thing I want to say is, if you haven't got your head around this yet, you're not on your own, and there's still plenty of time to get to grips with what we're doing at the moment. And for me, Derek's put the words there, is about keeping it simple, but maybe breaking it down into smaller chunks. So the first thing I want to share with you is that when we go on to show people what we do, we of course need the website that we'll come up to in a minute, but we need to decide how we're going to communicate with them verbally. And the first and easiest way to do that is, of course, over the phone. And there are pluses and minuses with just using the phone. So if you imagine you're on the phone with the person that you're speaking to and you're taking them through the website, the plus points are it's very easy to use the phone. They know how to use a phone. You don't have to teach them how to use the phone. And what I've found is not so much the minuses, but the things we have to develop. We have to be very good at developing a rapport on the phone. Now, if you've got a monotone voice, as I sometimes have, we have to vary it and we have to make it interesting and exciting. And some of you ladies on the call are amazing at this, and some of you gents as well. So we have to really dial up the energy when we're on the call. But if that's the lowest common denominator, they're maybe slightly older or non-techie, that could be any age, of course, then the phone is obviously the great place to start. As well as having the phone, we've got other options as well, of course. So Derek's bringing up WhatsApp and Messenger. Now, WhatsApp, first of all, and I don't know how many of you use WhatsApp. We probably all use it for messages, but how many of us actually use it for phone calls? And when we just use it for a phone call, we have a similar challenge with we've got to dial up the energy on there, and we need to make sure that we've got that working properly. We need to make sure we've got strong Wi-Fi. A few of the calls that I've done over WhatsApp have suffered from a little Wi-Fi, a little bit of lag. So we need to make sure that the person and ourselves have got good Wi-Fi. The great thing is it's cheap and free to do if people haven't got inclusive minutes. So that might be an option for you as well. Now, WhatsApp actually has a video feature, which I've used quite a lot. And some of you will be using Messenger, part of the Facebook platform, of course. And I think even though the phone is great and everybody uses it, it's much better if you can have a face-to-face and you can see their face and they can see yours. Because if you haven't seen this person for a while, or maybe you don't know them at all very well, if it's someone who's been put in front of you, a referral, you need to build rapport very quickly. And the big smile, you know, the welcome and hi, how are you? That first few seconds are crucial, I've found on the calls that I've done. And whether you do that through WhatsApp or Messenger, the video I think is brilliant. Sometimes we have to encourage them to switch the video on. Hopefully that will work, but that's a good way. And what I like about that, it's the technology is completely separate from the screen that you're on. So a lot of people are comfortable doing it that way. So many of you will know there's another way because we're on it right now, and that's on Zoom. And this is actually my preferred method of doing it. And like all of you, or some of you, I had to really learn how to use Zoom. I am technical in some respects, but I've not really used Zoom apart from the odd meeting. Haven't really used it in the way that we're using it now. So there was a learning curve for that. And what I like about Zoom, it's stable. People are used to using it, especially business people. The delay is hardly non-existent, as we know, and we can build rapport very, very quickly with people. The downside is, of course, some people can't technically do it, but once they're on it is great. And there's two ways we can use Zoom. We can keep the technology away from Zoom so they can have another device. So we always need to make sure we've got another device. And on that device, they will bring up the remote website on the bottom right, and we will bring up the top one, the / presentation. And we can talk them through that by seeing them on Zoom here, but they've got it on a separate device. Now, ladies and gents, I'm at an age, some of you are a lot younger than I am, where I'm still computer or tablet. But some people I've been signing up have been on their phone, and that works fine as well. So they could be on their phone on speaker, and they could be going through it on their phone. Not ideal, but that works. And a lot of younger people have been doing it that way. But if they are very technical, they can of course have Zoom open. The posh word is restore down their window. That's make the window half the size of the screen, and then bring up another web window with their browser, Safari if they're on a Mac, and of course Google Chrome if they're on a laptop or PC, and they can have this two screens side to side, your face on one side and the website on the other side. And for those of you that are still a bit apprehensive, don't be. I talked through an established distributor who'd never done anything online, and within 10 minutes we just ran through these two different websites, and she saw the power of doing it, and the excitement rose. So if you haven't got to grips around it, it's not too late. You can still do it, and it's very easy to do. Just buddy up with someone and they will take you through it. So I think, Derek, that's the main thing. We're going to be going through remoted supporters next week, of course, aren't we, Derek, as part of the support mechanism, which is going to give massive value as well.
So obviously, guys, that when we are going through this process, when we're supporting, there's obviously another person added to the call or another person added to the Zoom. But we're going to focus on that next week when we're looking at getting people started and supporting our new team members. And Sharon, you've been doing a lot of this lately. I know you're closing in on senior group leader at the moment, and you've sort of found this process of going through these stages quite useful, haven't you?
I have done, and I think with a lot of changes with the training and everything in early April, there was a lot of changes to the website and the way we did it, and it's been amazing. And I'll share with people on the call, it took me 2 weeks of getting my head around it before I had the confidence to do it, and it wasn't as good as it is now. And the only way to get good is by doing it. But I promise you, from one person who never supported their team members historically, we're now getting people to QD much quicker through this process. I'm a convert for doing everything that the system online with the remote supported that Derek's going to do next week, and doing it this way. All of a sudden, not being able to get in front of people with my business networks because they've got families and don't want me in the house in the evening maybe. I've been doing presentations 8:30, 9 o'clock on their terms, and I'm sitting here in the comfort of my home. So it really is an exciting time for what we've got at the moment, and it'll give us a better work-life balance, if that's the right phraseology, because instead of doing 3 or 4 nights out, you'll be doing 3 or 4 nights in and earning money that way. So I think it's phenomenal what we're doing at the moment.
It is, it's amazing. And it doesn't matter where in the world you are, you could be presenting this business, you could be supporting team members on bringing in new members. And it's sort of liberated people, hasn't it? Absolutely liberated people. And we say it, work from home, work from the comfort of your home. And literally, that's what we're able to do now.
Brilliant. Yeah, it is exciting. And the great thing is, what I've noticed, those people who are coming into this system are getting to grips much quicker than I certainly did, because we had to go from a black folder in the old days to Terry Wogan on an app to Joanna Lumley to this new thing. We're evolving. And that's part of our business. And I really respect you for being on the call today, because every little thing you can do will just give you that extra golden nugget, that extra hint and tip that will make you not only move forward for yourself, but you'll be able to share it with your team who aren't able to make it today.
That's amazing. Look, thanks a lot, Sharon. Good luck with your SGL. We'll be keeping a close eye on your progress. But it's back to the classroom now, and looking at the presentation. And any parents out there, my heart goes out to you. You've now got a holiday, okay? You've got 6 weeks off. Enjoy the next 6 weeks, because they're going to be tougher, because when children aren't occupied with schoolwork, they can run awry. But looking at the presentation, there are what I want to cover with you today, and this is through working with my son James, and he's been working with some of his team, and we're going back to what we call the 3 R's, and this is something that when we were talking about this, it's absolutely spot on, because Sean mentioned the first R when you get to that presentation is looking at building rapport. Just making those connections, taking an interest in what they've got to say, listening in, stroking the dog, or whatever you're doing. Actually, that would be quite difficult digitally, wouldn't it? But anyway, being nice to the dog. And the next thing then is reason, okay? Sharing your why. Why are you in front of them? Why are you doing this? Because if we can do that really well, then they're going to start building a picture in their own heads of maybe why they want to get involved with this. And the third R is referrals. So asking people, who else do they know who could benefit from this, who could benefit from reducing their overheads, who could benefit from free LED bulbs, who could benefit from helping to save the planet, who could benefit from making some extra money that could have a massive impact for their family. And I'm going to ask now, my son has been involved in the business for just over a year now. He's got to team leader. But the reason I've asked him is because they say that if a child can do it, Okay, anyone can do it. Make it simple. Make it so simple. Now he's going to kill me now because he's not a child anymore. He's quite a big child. He eats a lot and he spends a lot, but he's absolutely worth it. I'm going to stop the share minute so that we can just have a little chat to James before we kick in. James, are you there? Let me just see if I can unmute you. 1 second. And this is always a dangerous thing. There we go. James Thomas.
Hello.
So James, just very quickly before we kick off, do you want to just go through those three R's, because we're going to see them in the presentation. We're going to ask you to do a presentation for us.
Yeah, I think
Your mic's got a bit, James.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. So
one of my new IDs that was actually introduced to the business at the start of May, he actually sort of reminded me about the 3 R's. I was sort of semi-doing it anyway, but it's a lot simpler when you can just say 3 R's. And the first part is the rapport, which is really, really, really important. You've got to sort of take away, any sort of sales approach and have that sort of personal touch with those people, making connections, previously, if you're in someone's home and you can see a photo, oh, you've been to, say, Venice, fantastic, brilliant, we went there. Oh, you support so-and-so, yeah, I like them. Sometimes you don't, but you just have to say that. And you sort of go from there. And I would probably spend, a good 5-10 minutes building up rapport because, some people might feel a bit uncomfortable at the start because they don't sort of like being sold to. But I think that the reason side really, really is important. So every time I do a presentation, I always tell people that, I just graduated from uni back in October. I was doing a sports journalism degree in London, and I was working at a football club last year. There wasn't any opportunities available for me, so I took the business more seriously from then onwards. And previously, I was working in sort of hospitality, sort of doing 30 to 40 hours a week in the holidays for not a lot of money. And I didn't want to go back to that, so I took the business seriously, and that's why I'm doing it today. But going into the recommendation, so I always like sort of starting off with, I think it's fair to say, if it wasn't for Derek, I wouldn't really be sat with you today. Wouldn't you agree? And that's sort of first qualifying yes, as I call it. And pretty much, I went to see a good friend of yours, save them a couple of quid on their bills for the benefits, and they were happy to refer me on to you today. We don't spend hundreds of millions a year like the top energy companies and the broadband companies. It's all done through personal recommendation, and usually if they've already mentioned they're self-employed, I like to say, oh, so what is it that you do again? Oh, you're a painter and decorator. Well, fantastic. Look, we've sort of got the same sort of common things here. There's nothing better really than somebody who likes and trusts you and refers you on and gets you business, and everyone sort of wins. Wouldn't you agree? So that's my second qualifying yes. So what I'm going to go through with you today, I'm sure you're going to love it because 99% of people absolutely love this. Otherwise your friend wouldn't have referred me on to you today. But my business sort of only grows through recommendations, as I've said. So on average, most people sort of give me 7 to 10 names and numbers of close friends and family, like Derek did, which is why I'm here, because otherwise my business sort of won't grow. So if you do like what you see today, would you be happy to sort of just, refer me on to, 7 to 10 people at the end if you're suitably impressed? And I normally nod because it encourages them to agree. So once we get to the end of the presentation, it's sort of less awkward where you're sort of going, well, can you give me some referrals? And then they say, oh, well, I'll get back to you and I'll send them to you, because it doesn't happen. So having that sort of mutual agreement at the start really, really eases the sort of awkwardness at the end of the presentation. So as soon as I start, I say, right, fantastic. So with a award-winning home services provider, combine all your essential services onto one bill and give you other fantastic benefits, which I'm going to go through with you today. And there's also another side. It's the business opportunity, which again, I'm going to explain in a little detail later on. So we started off in 1996 and we're listed as a FTSE 250, and just through good old-fashioned word of mouth, we've got over 650,000 members, and that's our fantastic headquarters there on the far right-hand side in London. So as I mentioned at the start, how recommendations are really, really important. It's because we don't spend a penny in advertising. And of course, for every person that you would refer me on to who took all the services, you'd actually get £50 as a one-off off your energy bill, or you can earn an extra income on the side, which I'm going to explain a little later on. So this is our wonderful brand ambassador, Joanna Lumley. She does a lot for charity, really, really creditable lady, and she'll basically explain a little more about what we do. So once that video is played, we go on to the key benefits. So just very, very quickly, what was your favourite part of that little video that Joanna sort of presented to us then? Oh, I love the one bill. Well, do you know what? I always say, you know, everybody says that. You know, it's fantastic to be able to simplify all your boring bills all onto one bill, which makes budgeting easier. But she also mentioned these other three really, really important benefits. So I'm just curious, how many energy companies do you know who are generous enough to fit brand new LED bulbs into your home to lower your electric bill, free installation, and guaranteed for life? And most of the time they'll just say, oh, well, none. Well, exactly. You know, that's the ethos of our company. And again, because we're not advertising, we can give this fantastic benefit to our members. An additional benefit is the gourmet card. So you get discount off in certain eateries, restaurants, and days out. I always like giving an example. I went to Frankie and Benny's. The bill was £100. Just showing a gourmet card, I got 25% off the bill, which is fantastic. Wouldn't you agree? And they say yes. But for me, my favourite sort of benefit is our cashback card, and this is sort of the final jewel in the crown, as you like. So it's not a credit card. It's a bit like a debit card, but it's not. It's basically a prepaid card loaded by Visa. So if you go on to the next slide, so every single time you use this cashback card, wherever you go, you'll always get 1%. There is a cap of £10 cashback in the 1%ers, but if you go on to the next slide, which of these sort of leading retailers here would you say you use on a regular basis or from time to time? Oh, well, I shop in Marks and Spencer's. You know, I do about £50 a week. Boots, I do probably spend about 50 quid a month. So apart from Sainsbury's and B&Q, the other retailers are around sort of 5 to 7%, which is fantastic. So if you went to M&S and you spent £100, £5 comes off your overall bill. So wouldn't you like it if you could use a cashback card to do your general shopping and get savings off your essential services? Well, of course, fantastic. So if you go on to the next slide. So before we even touch your bills, in the first year, the average savings in an average household is around £1,000, depending on how many bulbs you've got, but the average is around £300 to £500. Cashback, if you're using it in sort of many of those leading retailers, this is probably going to be the correct figure, maybe a bit more for you. And if you're probably eating out once or twice a month and using your gourmet card, you're probably going to get over £300 a year. So if we go on to the next slide. So obviously you mentioned that the simplicity was really, really great for you. Look at that, left-hand side, one bill, all the services on there, with one direct debit coming out a month, which is a lot easier. But we always guarantee to save people money when they take all our services. And that's why we offer double the price promise difference. But quite simply, I wouldn't let you switch because I only want happy customers and I only want people to reduce their costs, not pay more. And if you are in any contract at all, I know you just mentioned you just switched 2 months ago for your energy. If you've got any exit fees for that, we will cover up to £200 collectively. So this is probably the most important part now I'm going to explain to you. So just very, very quickly, it is for me, is broadband really, really important to you? Yeah, of course, really, really important. You know, if broadband goes down, the whole world goes down. So I totally agree with you. And have you heard of the Witch magazine as well? Yeah, I have. Well, look, they're either going to recognise you for being brilliant or shocking. And we were broadband recommended provider in March. And we've been recommended as a company in 10 years in a row, which is fantastic. Wouldn't you agree? Yes, that's brilliant. So I know you mentioned that, you know, when you call up your current providers, you spend hours on the phone, you go through sort of many people just to solve a little issue. For me, the customer service is absolutely crucial. And this is why we're head and shoulders above the other big 6 energy companies. And we treat you as a person, not just a number, which is brilliant. And if ever you've got any questions, you can always pick up the phone and call me. So saves you a lot of time. So I know this is probably a dividing question, but would you say you'd like to do your bit for the environment? Yeah, of course. Well, look, how many other companies do you know are greener than our company, giving you free LED bulbs to lower your electric bill, supplying 100% renewable electricity, getting away the hassle of having to do constant meter readings regularly. They're submitted automatically, and we're actually going to give you £50 to make your life simpler, which is brilliant. And we're also planting trees for every member who takes all of our services, which again is a great green initiative. So I just quickly scroll past this part. If we go on to the next slide, and then obviously you play the becoming a partner, and we go on to the final slide. So I always like to say, look, before we sort of go on to the savings side and the boring side, just so we're sort of on the same wavelength here. If I just asked you, which would be the most important aspect of those 5 options there on the left-hand side, what would you say would you put down as number 1? Oh, will be income now, because I'm on sort of maternity at the moment, and I don't know if I can go back. Okay, brilliant. Well, look, just hold that thought there a second. If you looked on the far right-hand side, what would you say would make a massive difference to you if you can earn an extra income on the side? Or I'd probably say about £500. Okay, fantastic. So I'd say to get £500, you're probably going to have to do sort of about 5 hours a week, and I'm sure we can achieve that for you. But why would £500 be really, really important to you? Well, I'm going back. I'm not sure if I'm going to be going back to my job. I never seem to have sort of like, that extra 100, 200, £300 at the end of the month to sort of do activities with the kids. So in a way, they're telling us there why they need to join, which is brilliant. It's why you've got to identify why that money is important to them. Okay, fantastic. So if I had to ask you just very, very quickly, on a scale of 0 being I have absolutely no interest in joining your business, and 10 being sign me up as a partner, whereabouts would you sort of place yourself on that scale at the moment? Oh, I'd probably say a 6. Okay, that's brilliant. That's sort of where most people put themselves. How could I sort of get you close to that 10 mark? Well, I've mentioned that, I don't know if I might not have enough time, there's never enough hours in the days. Well, look, most people do this business part-time. And if I told you that you could do this without it affecting what you currently do, whereabouts would you say you are then? Oh, I'd be about a 9, because it's brilliant. Well, fantastic. Look, let's just quickly run through the savings part, because it's the boring side, and we can talk more about the business. So by focusing more on the business, there's less objections. It's less awkward when we're going through the sign-up process, and they've already told you why they want to join. So look, go to the final page. So look, Derek, you're paying you're paying £250 at the moment. With us, it's going to be £200. That's £50 a month saving before we touch any of the benefits, which is £600 for you, which is terrific. But with all the benefits, we're probably going to save you about £1,000, which is great. So if you just do continue there on the far right hand corner. So they've signed up, they've joined. We've saved them all that money. So look, you've saved £1,000 a year on the bills. Remember I mentioned about the referrals? Oh yeah. Okay. So once I've got those sort of 7 to 10 recommendations, say they give me 10 to make life easier. I say, look, Derek, to be really, really ethical with you, I'm going to probably earn, about £750 to £1,400 if I sign 3 to 4 of those. You've taken all the services like you, but remember you told me how, that extra income was going to really, really benefit you. If you popped on a call with me, did a quick bit of online training, you're paying £200 as it is with us now. Just by signing up one family and friend, you've already earned £50 more than what it cost you to originally, £200. If you sign up one member, it's £250. So we've already paid off utility warehouse bill for a month. If we did just 12 of those, that'll pay it off for the year. But it's brilliant. We've saved you £1,000. But imagine we can earn you sort of £750 to £1,000 a month. So if I go and sign these people up, you're only going to get £50 off your energy bill. But if you just come on a call, we can try and get some of that income in your pocket instead. So should we give it a shot? Because to be honest, Derek, I've sort of gone through this. We've looked at your bills. You're quite a savvy person. You seem really, really switched on, and people like you do always really, really well in our business. And with your sort of contacts and my sort of experience, I'm sure we can sort of get that extra income to allow you to have that extra sort of couple of £100 a month, and maybe not put you back into that job as in teaching.
Brilliant. Thank you, James. So a couple of things I wanted just to draw out from you, and I've listened to you on your calls, and this is what he does, and you've had some great success. You've had lots of referrals. You've gone into a doctor's network. Just to share how that's worked for you, James, because I was amazed at the results that you were getting. So we've got a neighbour 2 doors around here, and Mum said not to bother him because he's only just moved in. But you as normally didn't listen to your mum, did you? What happened? Just tell us the story.
I think one of the most interesting things when I look back on when I signed him up in September was, because I'd sort of still going through my warm market, it was very limited because Derek has gone to absolutely every person you could possibly believe in that sort of social. But there was one person that he hadn't done, and that person ended up joining. It wasn't a huge saving, but they want to help people. But the impact that had is they gave me 10 quality referrals of doctors that they knew. And because, doctors are really, really busy, especially at this time, they don't want to be going through bills. They're saving people's lives, in a normal day. Now they're saving, even more. So the impact that had is I had 10 names and numbers up front initially, and I signed up 6 of those, with 2 sort of, they could join for various reasons. They then referred me on to another sort of 8 people, the next person who joined, and then they referred me on to 10 people. So before you know it, you've got sort of 80 referrals of top quality sort of members, doctors. And along the way, some of them were saying, well, look, my daughter's just finished university. She could you give her a call? Because she'd do this. And then we sort of got her off to a flying start as well. So, it's really, really, really important that you sort of crack those recommendations, because your business will fly, and we need to take ourselves out of the equation, because it's between the person who's referred you on and the person you're going to go and see. So if they've got a very, very good relationship, they're going to say, oh, well, if so-and-so's had a look at this, I know it's boring, but it must be good because he wouldn't have got me to call him, So that's really, really, really important. And yeah, you never know what it's gonna lead to. It's led to about sort of 20 doctors signing up, which is fantastic. Yeah, it's you just gotta crack the recommendations and following up. Once you've got those names and numbers, we always sort of think, well, do I need to get them to text or whatever? So once I've got those sort of names and numbers there and then at the appointment, I'll always say, well, look, I have designed a text message because I don't like calling people randomly out of the blue. If I just send that to you and it's just, hi, Derek, James here, a good friend of ours came out and showed us something fantastic, really, really worth listening to. But I have forwarded your number on. So his name's going to be James if you're wondering where he got your number from and who sent it to him. So then when you call them up, you then can say, oh, hi, is that Derek? Yeah. Hi, Derek. It's James here. I got your number off a good friend of yours. Oh, okay. It's warm straight away. So did they tell you what I was giving you a call about? No, because there's nothing about gas and electric in the text because it's boring. Well, look, I went round to so-and-so and I saved them a couple of £100 on their bills. I know it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but obviously it's something that we've all got to sort of deal with. And he was happy to refer me on to a few good friends and family. And your name actually was one of the top ones on the list for me to get in contact with. I was just wondering when would be a convenient time just to run things through with you for half an hour. No obligation, but he has told me to get in contact with you and show you what we can do.
Brilliant. And the other thing, James, I heard you doing the other day, you were doing an appointment. You've brought in someone called Donna Ciccioni, and you've helped her actually. How many customers have you got with her on board?
So she's done 9 in her first month. 9 in the
first month. She's earned over £2,000. And how old are you, James?
22.
22. Okay, so you're helping, well-established families, And what was interestingly, when she joined, you weren't actually saving her loads, were you?
No, I mean the great thing is she spends about she spends a couple of £100 a month in M&S, which is always a great start. So that was really, really helpful. But I think it was something like £30 a month on the bills and before the benefits. So a year we're probably going to save around £1,000. But I said, look, she was really, really happy, and she said, I just love one bill. I not have to keep switching. It's fantastic. I said, look, that's brilliant. But the real reason I'm here showing you this today with your friend Paul is because how about earning £1,000 a month? It's great saving people hundreds of pounds a year, but it's not really that life changing. Maybe for some people it might be, but £400 on the bills. It's not going to be huge. But if you can show them how to earn £750 a month without it affecting what they currently do, got to build a list, have a strong reason why they want to join this business and work with you, follow the system, we can achieve that kind of money. And she's earned over £2,000 in her first month, which in a way, once she's used that cashback card, it's already paid for a UW bill for the rest of the year.
So you've actually, by helping her get going, you've wiped out her whole utility bill for the year.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that's an interesting point where we're trying to save people money, yet there are other ways to save people money. And I think in this short period, where we're not asking people to take this up and go on and on and on and on and build. If we could just sort of put it to a point, well, look, while you're in lockdown, just do a bit of training with me and let's get your bill wiped out totally. It's a different approach because we all know what happens once we get people hooked in and seeing the benefits. So Donna qualified for the cocktails evening, hasn't she? Yeah.
Yeah, and I just, the one thing that really hits home for the new partners that have joined is in all their sort of years of work, when has their company ever turned around and said, look, well done for working so hard. We're going to treat you to, we're going to send you a nice cocktail kit, put your feet up, bring a friend round or have your husband there and you can, and we can make some cocktails. They don't do it. And that is one of the great things is they've got not just the fantastic money, but it's the personal development they'll start to engage with, make them a better person and get all these sort of short incentives and long-term ones like the holiday, which is brilliant, all from helping people. I think sometimes we can focus sort of too much on the savings as well on the appointment. At the end of the presentation, once you've got your recommendations, who can I help first? Who do you know that's and this is sort of covered in the Fast Start plan. Who do you know that's struggling at the moment? Who do you know that's just lost their job? Who do you know that wants to go to the Maldives? Who do you know that's switched on? Who do you know that's always got a bit of up and drive about? Because they'll always know one person, and it may not be that one person that could join or do a lot, but they could lead you to the next person who could be your next senior group lead. So you just never ever know where that's going to lead you to.
Amazing. Well, look, thanks, James. Thanks for sharing that with us. I'm learning things all the time. So I'm always outside the door when he's on appointments because he's always been, what he does great, I think, is his ability to generate that rapport with people. So he's used his journalism skills, but I don't think we all need to be journalists to actually build rapport. We just need to be ourselves and chatty and there to help people. And the point here is that we can't always help everyone. And I know, James, you've come across people who, they're on a really, really great rate and you can't help them save. So how do you deal with that in an appointment? You're muted, James. Let me just unmute you. Hang on a second. Yeah, so how would you deal with that in an appointment, James?
So, I mean, the great way of sort of turning the tables is I say, well, look, you're a switched on person, quite clearly. The bills are the same, but look at all these benefits that you've got on the side. So instantly, for a savvy person like you, you're going to be able to reduce your costs even further. But is that company that you're sort of with at the moment, are they able to sort of generate a life-changing income on the side for you? Instead of you having to sort of switch around all the time, you can get one bill with all these fantastic benefits. But that extra income, you did say that you'd like to go on an extra couple of holidays a year, by just helping a few friends and family, that's achievable. That really is achievable.
And you've done, I've heard you, someone who's actually not wanted to change really because there wasn't much savings at all, but you actually recruited them. You got them on board because, and you've helped them get, how many customers did you bring in and what did that cover?
I think it was only sort of a handful because they were sort of still focused on the savings, but that's fine. But the great thing is, you know, the business opportunity is the life-changing sort of opportunity, isn't it? You know, saving a couple of £100 a year on the bills is fantastic. You know, we don't want to underestimate that, what it can do for people. But showing people that maybe saving a year in 1 month is huge. And I think a lot of people are going to be sort of more open to earning an extra income now with the current climate. And, you know, just from a few friends and family, instead of me going and signing them up, why don't you just hop on a call and you get that money?
Great.
You know, and I'll deliver the presentation.
Well, I've opened the chat there. If anyone's got any questions for James, you know, you might want to pop them into the chat now. But I just wanted to bring Sharon back. Sharon, you've heard James's side of the story, working with doctors. Your wife is a doctor.
Right.
They're very, very busy people, you know, saving lives. They're not really focused on saving money. Are they earning too much, Sharon?
No, what I've found is, especially if they become a GP, for example, I know this is a safe environment, so I'll share some things with you. And when you go self-employed, you don't have to pay your tax for about 18 months to 2 years. So most people spend what they earn. So there will be some people out there who are newly qualified GPs, for example, who will have to pay a massive tax bill and don't have the money to pay for it. This isn't earning 6 figures, maybe haven't earned that before, so they tend to spend within their means. So what we shouldn't do, and I was conditioned like this: respect doctors, look up, don't speak till you're spoken to. I'm of that generation. James fortunately isn't. We have to speak to these people because these people are going to need money. The other thing you won't be aware of, I don't think I'm supposed to even know this, but I'll share it with you. Doctors, GPs are paid on a point system, number of flu jabs, number of this, number of that, and the government has made the points harder to get. So that's going to affect their income. So these people are going to have to look at other ways to maintain that income, or they're going to have to cut their cloth accordingly. So James has got some great language there. Thank you, James, for sharing that. We just need to speak to people and show them, because I promise you, you'll find that some of the doctors who are open-minded are great at what they do. They might not like to do it anymore, like Fran McNichol, colonic surgeon, but they'll stick it out for the pension, which is right, because the pension will be good. But if they can go down to a 3 or 4 day week maybe, and then do something part-time around that, which will give them more enjoyment, our business, then it's worth having a chat with them. Even if you introduce it in the third person, you might know someone who might benefit from this. But I promise you, you'll sign some of them up.
Yeah, fantastic. James, a couple of things coming through. What they want to know, this text that you send out. I'm not sure if you can put that into the chat at all.
Yeah, so it's just sort of a very, very basic text, but it takes away savings, gas, electric, broadband, mobile, all those things. It's just, hi, whoever, a good family and friend showed me something brilliant today. I really think it can benefit you, and I'm sure you'll love it. His name is James. We know him quite well. And if you're wondering where he got your number from, it was me. So just sort of listen out for a call from him. So straight away, they're telling them it's brilliant before they've even seen what it is. So if they've got a good relationship and they're switched on, you know, well-respected person, the light, it's sort of what goes in your favor straight away, before, rather than them saying, oh, I'll ask a few people, and they start sort of, you know, saying gas, electric, bulbs, cashback, and it just takes away exactly what we wanted to show them. And I think sometimes people are quite, you know, now and again you will have people quite reluctant to pass names and numbers on to you there and then and say, oh, I'd have to ask them first. I say, well, look, you just write them down first, and I promise you I'm not going to call them. Just write them down now, okay? I'm just going to send you this text. Could you just then pass this text message on? Have a little read. If you want to change it just ever so slightly, you can. Pass that on, and I'll give them a call in the next 24 to 48 hours. If they don't want to call, that's fine. But just don't try and explain what it is, because, you know, it makes it a bit more challenging.
And obviously now, James, people, you're mentioning to people that it's worth their while sending those texts on, because every person who comes on board, then they're going to get £50.
Yeah, and I think people love the win-win situation. You know, you're supporting my local business. You know, you've referred me on to a few good friends and family. We're going to help them out. We're not putting anyone in the worst situation, and you're going to get £50 just for helping someone. You know, it's brilliant.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, I'm just going to, let me just get back into here one moment. We are, let me just see if I can just share this a second. So that's it this week. I would suggest if you want to sort of listen to that script through, just play it back, listen to it a few times. One thing I know with James is that he practices the presentation. And when he is supporting people, before they go on to a call, he will sit down with this new person and get them doing a presentation back to him, and he gives them some positive feedback. It's all done in a really, really respectful way, and they enjoy working with him because he does insist on practicing. And as I said, the language comes and the structure comes as you go through it. So anyone who may be a bit sort of, you know, if you haven't done many presentations, it's just worth practicing those with team members, with someone that you know you can work with. So Sharon and James, thank you ever so much for your input this morning. Next week is the big one. It's the project launch. Got some amazing people involved in that, some exciting stuff to share with you. This is absolutely going like a rocket at the moment. So whatever you're doing next week, timetable you're in for 10 o'clock next week. It's going to be a fantastic session, and it will finish off these 4 stepping stones for success. I firmly believe that over the next 2 to 3 months, we are going to see recruitment like we've never seen before. And unless we have these skills at our fingertips, unless we practice them, okay, we're going to be missing out in terms of helping people get started, in terms of helping people get in front of the presentation, and in terms of generating, you know, our lists and how we can find where these people are and where they're at. So we look forward to seeing you next week. And in the meantime, have a fantastic week. And good luck with your presentations and your rainmaker activity. Take care, guys.
Thanks,
Derek.